Time now for news from the left and a goodbye to BuzzFeed News. BuzzFeed shutting down its news division. They're no longer profitable, it seems, probably because they're very fake news. In 2017, about a week before Trump's inauguration, BuzzFeed published the entire Steele dossier full of false allegations about Donald Trump and Russia. A ridiculous dossier. BuzzFeed adamantly refused to take it down. Take down the dossier or even related articles, even fighting to publish the dossier in court. You can still find it right now on their website with a note: the allegations are unverified and the report contains errors. You know, none of that ended up with a $787 million settlement for Donald Trump, but we won't talk about that. Next up, if you live in Chicago, I would advise you at this point to probably just get out, especially if you are in the inner city area. Your new mayor-elect is going to be a total disaster. Over the weekend, Chicago fell victim to a group of very angry teenagers. They're out wildin', as they call it. Dubbed the Chicago Teen Takeover, the city descended into chaos as the mob set fire to cars, vandalized private property, shot guns in the street, fought with the cops. This is American culture today. Don't you love it? Among the victims was a woman. You remember this video. The terror in her eyes. Ambushed, tackled, punched repeatedly, and dragged by her hair by a bunch of ruthless teenage animals. And here is how the next mayor responded to such a despicable moment.
Demonizing children is wrong. We have to keep them safe as well. They're young. Sometimes they make silly decisions. They do. And so we have to make sure that we are investing to make sure that young people know that they are supported.
Can you imagine that a great American city is going to let that person control it? It is shocking to see how quickly this country is devolving. Just listen to the man talk. He doesn't look like he could coordinate a trip to the park. And he's going to run Chicago here very, very soon, as if it wasn't bad enough. Next up, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal is not the brightest bulb in the room, and she proved it today while addressing a House Judiciary Committee markup on the immigration crisis. She actually said this. Take a look.
This country needs immigrants to survive. Immigrants pick the food we eat, rebuild our communities after climate disasters, help construct our infrastructure, power our small business economy, clean our homes, and look after the most precious in our families, our children and our elders.
So, yeah, Central American immigrants, they don't run our companies or, fix our computers, but they sure do know how to pick the food that we eat and clean our toilets and take care of our babies while we go do the real work. I mean, this is what a congresswoman actually said, almost verbatim. How do you, I don't know. There's no cognizant awareness at all. All right, ABC's David Muir taking a trip to South Sudan to push the climate agenda.
This is a very common sight here after 4 years of relentless rains. This is a tiny piece of land completely surrounded by the waters here, an island in and of itself. And these are the families that have stayed behind to continue to raise their children here. We're on the front lines right here of climate change.
Yeah, no, I think there's no question this is the front lines.
The front lines of climate change. So there's a lot of suffering in the Sudan. The people live in poverty, as you can see, in huts, try to prevent warring tribes from kidnapping their children. The area has a long history of ethnic violence and genocide, but the mainstream media, of course, can ignore all of that because they can't expand their globalist agenda with those boring old stories of villages being slaughtered. Climate change, though, in a place we've been sending water to for about 50 years, having too much water, now that's something that will get the attention of globalist authoritarian American media who are begging to kneecap freedom and Western capitalism. That's the agenda they want to push. Hinging the suffering of the African people and the people of the Sudan to climate change has got to be an all-time grift. Think about all of the stories that ABC News had to ignore on their way to talk about climate change in the Sudan. Something else. Finally, here's what the very bizarre Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro is worried about these days.
You also plan to make important investments to address the roadway safety crisis, including the critical funding that would accelerate the development, and this is an area I've written to you about, of the use of female dummies in crash testing. This will start to fight the gender inequity among vehicle safety and crash victims.
I know what you're thinking. No, that's not a disguise. The gender inequity of car crash victims will all be solved as Pete Buttigieg begins using female crash test dummies. Did anybody know that crash test dummies had a gender before? Does anybody believe that anything is going to change if we have female crash? I mean, this is what your country's worried about as it falls apart.